Hi everyone, and welcome to the main vlog. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I last posted a vlog, which was obviously the review of one of our followers' portfolios. We reviewed a couple of names, including some new GTLDs. But this vlog is actually going to be about NamesCon Europe. I'm currently here in Valencia. Obviously, this is the hotel room, so not the best setting in the world, but I wanted to give a review on the conference while it was still fresh in my mind. And it's certainly been an interesting conference. It's much different to the NamesCon event that was held in Vegas earlier this year. This conference is a lot more intimate. You're not running around trying to make different get to different rooms for different sessions and different speakers. Everything took place in one room. There was a lot of very good content, and Braden Pollock was the moderator, and I think he said something that was quite relevant, and a lot of people should think about when they go to conferences, and that's that you just need one nugget. You need one thing that is going to change the way you think, or is going to help improve your business, or just give you a different outlook on things that you wouldn't have otherwise had, to make the trip or make the conference worthwhile. For me personally, I met a lot of new people. That obviously, with a more intimate atmosphere, you're able to speak with more people and meet with more people, which is obviously what you come to these conferences for. So I'm going to say that if you can attend NamesCon Europe moving forward, I certainly suggest it. For me, this was a better conference than the one in Vegas earlier in the year. I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the things that perhaps I've learned or realized, or that weren't previously things that weren't previously so apparent, or maybe things that were elaborated on. I mean, there were some very good speakers. Some that stood out included Joe Styler from GoDaddy talking about the domain aftermarket. Giuseppe Graziano talked about liquid domains and the $8 billion market for liquid domains, which was very good. There was a lot of sessions on development and monetization that I thought were good. I'm obviously not an expert in monetization as such from domain names and parking and that sort of thing, but obviously parking is still very relevant in today's industry, although PPC is not as big as it was a few years ago. There's obviously still a lot of people that are making great money from parking. So yeah, there were lots of different things. Development and SEO was also talked about. I think that my perception of development has changed slightly. I'm not by any means the best person at developing a domain name, but I can see why there are many people out there that do develop domain names and run a good business and profit considerably from doing so. But these are a couple of things. For me, my nugget for this conference does actually involve new GTLDs. So, as many of you know, I'm not a huge fan of new GTLDs. I'm largely invested in .com domain names, but I'm always willing to learn, just like many of the other people are in the industry, as the industry is constantly changing, and it's no secret that there's been some great GTLD sales recently. Home.loans, vacation.rentals, just to mention a couple. I've personally been a skeptic on why the price was so high, or what I thought was so high at the time for those domain names. But since then, we've seen Home.loans rank on page 1 of Google. I think Vacation.rentals is also ranking on page 1 of Google, which is I mean, unbelievable, right? It's obviously a lot of that has to do with the development and the SEO that has been put into those websites, but ranking in such a competitive category after such a short amount of time is a phenomenal feat. And I've been lucky enough to speak with Jebediah from Donuts, and I've spoken to him in quite in depth in regards to some of the domains that he's been working with, and the clients that he's been working with, and domains that he's sold. And it's quite apparent to me that the great value in these new GTLDs is how they're ranking in Google. Now, like I said to him, there's always arguments for and against, and for me, I always said that I like the home.loan sale more than the vacation.rental sale, for the simple reason that home.loans is competing it's not competing against a developed homeloans.com site, right? While vacation.rentals is competing against vacationrentals.com, which is developed. However, Jebediah brought up a great point, and that's that although vacationrentals.com is developed, and perhaps they will get some traffic leakage to them, the fact that vacation.rentals ranks on page 1 of Google is extremely valuable, right? I can see why the math works for the owners in terms of paying 500,000 or whatever, or 500,300. I can see how the math pencils when wanting to, when you want to put that math together and say, will this be profitable? And I think if your business model is, I want to bring in leads, right? It's a form of lead generation. I want to bring in customers, and I want to bring in customers from Google, and you're ranking on page 1 of Google, then it's doing exactly what you want it to do, essentially, right? So I tend to personally think about things from a branding perspective, right? So my immediate thoughts when it comes to vacation rentals, right, is, okay, they're going to get lots of traffic leakage, and there's going to be brand confusion between them and vacationrentals.com. And as someone that does a little bit of consulting, right, on branding, I don't like that kind of confusion. But like in many things, there's arguments for and against, and there's no denying that the ability to rank on page 1 of Google it's almost invaluable for some of these categories, right? I mean, the monthly search volume for vacation rentals and home loans is, off the charts, right? Completely off the charts. And for 1 or 2 of these customers, if they turn into these leads, these clicks or whatever, if they turn into customers, it becomes very, very profitable. And there's a lot more to it than that, but I've spoken in depth with Jebediah from Donuts, and his arguments for these new GTLDs, they make an awful lot of sense. Now, I'm not saying go out and invest in all these new GTLDs. I think that there's some that make a lot of sense, and there's some that don't. But I mean, it's the same thing with .com. The amount of times that I get these portfolio reviews, and I tell the people that are submitting the portfolio that your .com is worth nothing, it happens all the time, right? But my argument is that there's obviously more sales. So as an investor, I want to go where I see the sales, and for me, that's in .com right now. But I can certainly see how these GTLDs are starting to gain traction, because they are starting to gain traction. And I think from what I've learned here is that you'll probably start to hear a lot more about new GTLD sales, as it sounds like there's quite a few that are flying under the radar right now. So this is coming from me. This is coming from a guy that has, been very skeptical on new GTLDs, and just coming to this conference has kind of opened up my mind a little bit in terms of the possibilities that are there for an end user, that wants to rank in Google, for an end user that is looking to, especially for an end user that is looking to acquire customers from Google as opposed to a more traditional way of marketing. There is certainly opportunity with exact match GTLDs, right? And I think that most of the time, if you are looking at GTLDs, I would say that what I've learned here is that you should be gearing towards exact match domains in that respect, because they do well. They've proven to do well in on the ranking side of Google. Now, Google obviously doesn't say what they take into consideration when it comes to ranking, but in a short period of time, the owners of both Home.Loans and Home.Rentals have proven that they're ranking well. Now, that doesn't mean that they've just put up any kind of website and suddenly it's ranking well in Google. No, it means that, you know, they've acquired this domain name and they've put money into development and SEO, and together they've achieved a good result very quickly. And there's no denying that getting to page 1 on Google within 5 or 6 months is a great feat, and in a very competitive market. So that's one kind of nugget that I've got from this, is that there are multiple different ways of looking at things, and you know, whether you look at things from the Mike Mann perspective, who says only .com, nothing else. Yeah, I mean, he's successful and he does very well in that area of things, right? And then you've got other people like, you know, the Donuts people and Jebediah and other, you know, people in the industry, Uniregistry, that are saying, hey, you know, there's an opportunity here in new GTLDs, and I think that both are right. I think that both are right in many respects, and both can coexist, right? Obviously .com is always going to be almost the king, in my opinion. It's not going anywhere. People, if they can acquire the .com, they will acquire the .com. But there are alternatives out there in these new GTLDs that are doing well. Now, will there sometimes be some brand confusion? I think so. Yes, I think that if the .com version is developed, then there may be brand confusion and it could cause you some issues. There's also the small matter of email, right? I mean, most people, when they're emailing, they're going to add a .com at the end. If it's, you know, josh@brand.consultants, a lot of people are going to email josh@brandconsultants.com. But you know, these are factors that are minimal when you can say, hey, I've developed a site and I'm getting lead generation daily because I'm ranking 1 on Google and I'm getting a lot of traffic. That is invaluable, and I can see why people will pay money for that. Now, so that's the key thing that I've got from this conference. There are several other good things that I've seen and that I've heard here. I'm probably going to write a blog just illustrating some of the things that were talked about by Joe Styler, some of the things that were talked about by some of the other speakers, Giuseppe and some of the people that I wasn't familiar with prior to coming here, and you know, there was other things that weren't quite as they weren't at the forefront of my mind, that are also pretty important for domain investors to understand. But overall, if I was to rate NamesCon Europe, I would rate it above the NamesCon in Vegas. I think that if you're looking to get into a more intimate and a more personal setting, then a conference like this is very, very valuable. Anyway, like I said, I will be writing a blog about it, and I hope you enjoyed this vlog, and I'll be doing one again soon. In fact, there'll be more likely than anything, I'll probably be doing an interview with someone next. It's not quite locked down yet, but once it is, we'll be sure to get videoing so that we can get this posted and everyone can see it. I'll be back in California next week, and it will be back to business as usual. But for now, that's it from me. Thanks. Bye.